This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, October 20th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From France 24, France's Lafarge pleads guilty to U.S. charge of supporting terror groups in Syria. Lafarge, a French cement company, has pleaded guilty to paying groups that have been designated as terrorist organizations by the United States government, including the Islamic State. These payments were, by all indications, purely mercenary and not at all ideological. Lafarge has paid off such organizations globally many times over the past decade or so for business purposes, including defense, and is facing similar charges in France for keeping a factory running in Syria after the ongoing civil war broke out there in 2011. This marks the first time a corporation has pleaded guilty to providing material support to terrorists in the U.S., and Lafarge has agreed to forfeit $687 million and pay a fine of $90 million as part of its guilty plea. From Quartz, a U.S. importer and Indian producer are under scrutiny for kidney deaths in the Gambia, following a World Health Organization global alert regarding 4 brands of cough syrup that seem to be connected to the deaths of dozens of children in the Gambia. U.S.-based Atlantic Pharmaceuticals and India-based Maiden Pharmaceuticals have been named in an investigation into the contamination of paracetamol syrup imported into the Gambia. The Gambian government has quarantined or seized 41,000 bottles out of 50,000 bottles of this medication that were, according to the WHO, imported into the Gambia and of substandard quality, containing, quote, unacceptable amounts, end quote, of chemicals used to make paints and cosmetics that are thought to be the cause of these deaths. That aforementioned Indian pharmaceutical company has been blacklisted for failing quality control tests several times over the past decade, and it's expected that one or both companies could face severe legal consequences in the coming months as investigations into this issue move forward. And from TechCrunch, Meta gets final order to sell Giphy from UK antitrust watchdog. The UK's antitrust watchdog agency has ruled, after a period of appeal, that Meta, formerly known as Facebook, must divest itself of Giphy, a GIF, or GIF if you prefer, focused platform that it acquired in May of 2020 in order to avoid reducing choice and creating a social communications monopoly in the UK. This decision was originally made back in November of 2021, but the appeal process took a while to conclude, which means Giphy has been part of Meta for some time now, though it hasn't been inextricably integrated with the company's larger catalog of offerings, so reselling it should be a little bit easier than would be the case with many of their other holdings, some of which, like Instagram, have recently come under scrutiny by other international antitrust groups, which could mean Meta faces more unwinding related threats of this kind in the coming years. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.